I would say that one of the most effective ways in which you can improve the quality of your training is by recording yourself doing the exercises, reviewing them yourself, or getting a coach to review them, then implementing those learnings and repeating that same process. However, I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with doing it. They don't know how to record themselves, and they also don't know the advantages and the benefits of doing it. So today I want to go through exactly that. I want to give you a comprehensive approach of how to do it, how to get over the discomfort of doing it, why you should be doing it, and how we're going to benefit from it massively. So let's start with the first hurdle that most people face, which is this discomfort. And ultimately, this comes down to thinking, what are other people going to think of me? Maybe they're going to think I'm vain. Maybe they're going to think, why is he recording himself or herself when they're doing things wrong, or they don't have any idea what they're doing, they're completely new to the gym. All these different thoughts are probably going to be going through your mind. So what we want to do is reduce that noise a little bit. And first things first, remember that most people are focusing on themselves and not what you're doing. And I know it's very cliche and you're going to hear that a lot, but it's really true. A lot of people will be just generally focusing on themselves. And if they're focusing on you, then realistically, you've got to ask the question of why. Ultimately, people are there to focus on their own improvement. So unless they're like personal trainers or gym instructors, then they have no business with looking at you anyway. So ultimately, if you are able to just recognize that most people are focusing on themselves and you should be focusing on yourself, and this is going to help you in terms of your progression with your training, and hopefully that reduces things a little bit. I would say one of the first steps that you should take is ask the gym whether recording yourself is acceptable. Ultimately, if they say yes, it's totally fine. Just try to angle it away from people, or tell the people around them if they're in the shot, then that's totally good. You've got two green flags there. You know that no one else is really focusing on you and they shouldn't be, and you also know that you're allowed to do it. If they say no, then obviously we need to work around that. Maybe you ask to go in the studio and record there, or maybe you do some of those exercises at home. You just may not be able to mimic the machine so much, but ultimately we can work with movement patterns. And on that note, if you're someone who's not going to the gym but you're just a bit conscious of doing it at home, that might be because you feel the judgment of potentially your coach, for example. But ultimately, I can come from a very, very honest place here, and I'm not expecting you to be perfect by any means. If you're doing your exercise completely wrong, I'm happy that I'm seeing that video. Like, I'm not judging you at all, and no coach should whatsoever. Their job is to ultimately help you. So if I see that you're not doing things correctly, I'm like, amazing. I'm glad that this person sent me a video, because now we can work on this. And we've got to understand that training is a skill. Exercising is a skill. It's not something we're going to be completely experts at immediately. If you're new to lifting, or even if you've been lifting for like 10, 15 years, which I had a lot of people do, and then they will send me videos and I'm like, this wasn't as effective as I thought it was going to be based on your experience. That's a very normal thing. We only know what we know. And if you've learned mostly through watching videos or other people in the gym, it's not a very comprehensive education of exercise. So we've got to remember that most of us aren't going to be very, very good at training, full stop. There's no judgment from coaches. There shouldn't be. And even if you don't quite have the confidence to send it to someone else, maybe just record them for yourself and maybe compare it to another video that you've got. I send all of my clients like exercise videos that they can refer to, so you can literally put your phone up against that exercise video and be like, okay, where are the things going wrong here? And if you do find that too difficult, try and pluck up the courage to send it to your coach or someone who you know is well versed in exercise, and they should be more than happy to help you. And the final thing I would say is just do it. Like, literally just do it. I would say maybe if you've got a friend who's coming with you to the gym, get them to record you first, and that might be a little bit easier to break through the discomfort of it all. Or even get a personal trainer or someone who works there to do it as well. They should be open to doing it. Maybe if they're not in a personal training session, of course, don't bother them then. If there's a fitness instructor walking around, then most people are going to be open to doing it. Or even someone in the gym. Maybe you've made a gym friend and they can record for you. All of these things should help, but the more you do it, the less discomfort you'll have, and ultimately is only there for your benefit. It's not like you're lifting up your shirt and doing selfies of your abs in the mirror. You're doing this for the progression of your training, and ultimately so you're not only doing sessions and exercises more effectively, but more safely as well. So you're able to stay injury-free and ultimately enjoying your training without any pain for the long haul. So the next is how, of course. And I just mentioned that you can obviously get other people to record you. But before I was in a relationship, I would say that 95% or even close to 99% of my videos were done with my phone on selfie camera, stacked up against a dumbbell or a water bottle, and they were just angled in a position that would record me. So there is literally no excuse. If you don't have someone to record for you, that's not a problem. Literally literally, if you go and scroll back on my Instagram, like 99% of them, especially on my stories, were done with me. So literally just grab your phone, put the bottle there, make sure it's a heavy enough bottle so it doesn't fall down, and also trust that you're not going to get the angle perfectly the first time, and trust that when you put it on a bench, you might put the dumbbells on the floor, the phone falls over. Like, these things happen, but ultimately, solid water bottle, camera on selfie mode so you can see the angle in which you're recording at, hit the record button, get angled in the position so you can see your entire body or the entire exercise, and that's exactly how you do it. Obviously, it's easier if you get someone to do it, but don't let not having a person there hold you back, especially if you want to record yourself like every time you go in the gym, for example. And also, it only has to be like one set. The third set could be helpful. The last set of that workout, just get even more realistic look at how your form is when you get a little bit more fatigued. But the most important thing is you get a video and you're able to then review it thereafter. So that's the how. Sometimes you can use a tripod, for example, for your phone. I've never done that. It's probably a good idea. You can stack it up against the machine. Sometimes it is hard to get the angles, but you've just got to work on it and see what's best for you. And if it is really hard, ask a friend, ask someone who works at the gym. They should be more than happy to do it. And the last aspect of this is, why should I do it? And ultimately, as I mentioned, training is a skill. And if we've learned from watching others and through videos, etc., I wouldn't expect to be too good at anything that I've just done by watching people and videos. Ultimately, I might gain a little bit of competence, but I don't expect myself to be an expert. And ultimately, what we want to do is just upgrade the level of your exercises. If you're going to the gym and doing those exercises anyway, I want you to do them as effectively as possible so that you're going to get the most out of them. And as I mentioned earlier, it's also about your safety as well. Training with weights can be quite unsafe if you're not doing it in the correct way. So ultimately, I want to see if you're doing it effectively and safely so that you can get the most out of those exercises, you can stay injury free, and ultimately you can get the best results possible. And I feel like the most effective way of doing that is by looking at videos. I can give you form tips. I can say that your chest needs to be a little higher. I can say that your shoulders need to be further back. I can say that your arm needs to be angled in at a slightly different position, or this position which is optimal. But ultimately, unless I see what you're doing, or unless you see what you're doing, it's hard to just apply those things. And quite often it feels a lot different to what it looks like. Sometimes it feels and looks the exact same, and that's amazing. That's a great position to be in. But like I said, training is a skill. Most of us are starting as beginners, even if we've got a little bit of experience of going into the gym or doing workouts. But ultimately, we also got to remember there's a plethora of different exercises that we can be performing. There's thousands of exercises. So ultimately, that's a lot to learn. There was 1,000 anything that you needed to learn. That would be pretty damn tough. And you would want to go through the exercises, the recipes, the ways of doing things, whatever it is, plenty of time and with instruction in order to make sure that you're doing it as effectively as possible. So team, that's exactly why you should record your exercises and how to do it. So let me know how you get on. And if you need any further advice on this, let me know. And if you're watching on YouTube, drop it in the comment section below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So have an amazing day ahead, team. Take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.